Hi, welcome to another video. This one is going to be on cosine rule. Just a quick couple of examples about how to use cosine rule. Obviously there's a lot more complicated exam style cosine rule questions that we will have to deal with. This is just your more basic, here's your triangle, work something out using cosine rule. So first of all, exactly the same as trigonometric area triangle and sine rule, we've got to first of all label up our non-right angle triangle. So we do that with pairs. So angle A opposite side A, B opposite B, and C opposite C. Capitals for the angles, lowercase for the sides, so we don't get them confused as we're working our way through. Sine rule, you had a pair, so if I was given that angle and that side, or that side and that angle, etc., I'd have a pair, so I could use sine rule. Sometimes, however, you're going to have to work stuff out where you don't have a pair of an angle and a side opposite each other. So in this one here, if I'd labelled up, if that's A, that's A, if that's B, that's B, and if that's C, that's C. So I don't have a pair of an angle and side. That's when cosine rule comes in. So this is cosine rule here. At some later point we'll go through where it comes from, etc. But at the moment, that's what we need to try and learn. So you can probably tell by this bit here, it is something to do with Pythagoras. So we've got a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cos a, so that's 2 multiplied by b multiplied by c multiplied by the cos of a. Doesn't actually matter which one you call b, which one you call c, because you square both of them and add them and then you multiply them together. So it doesn't actually matter which one you call b and which one you call c. It does matter though which one is a. A is the angle that's going to be enclosed between the two in this case, or later on the angle that you're going to be finding out. Now, if you can remember that formula, it's very much just a matter of substituting in these basic types of questions. So I've labelled up, so A, B, B, C, C. So a squared, that's the one that I'm finding out. So this is your first type of cosine rule question where you're going to find a side out. So a squared, I don't know, I'm going to leave it as a squared, equals b squared. So I say it doesn't matter which one's b, which is c, but I'm just going to say this one is b here, so that's going to be 8 squared plus c squared, which is 10 squared, minus, subtract, 2 times b times c, so that's 2 times 8 times 10 times by cos of 50 degrees. Now, you could work out bits of those first, and generally I probably would, or you can just put that whole thing into your calculator. I'm just going to work out bits first, so that's 64 plus 100, subtract 2 times 8 is 16 times 10, so it's 160 cos of 50. So I'm going to put a little bit more simplification, so that's 164 subtract 160 cos 50. So I'm going to put that into my calculator, 164 and subtract 160 cos 50, close the brackets, so that gives me, see, I'm not going to round this at this point, but just there. So I know a squared equals 61.15. Now at this point, just be really careful, because that's not b squared, that's not c squared, that's just b and c. So exactly the same as when we do Pythagoras at the end. I've got to do the square root to get back to a. So the square root of my answer, so I'm not going to round it, I'm just going to leave it there. So that gives me 7.82. And that's the step that some people forget to do. A squared equals 61.15. You kind of need to think about the size, the magnitude of your answer. So you've got 10, 8. Is A going to be 61.15? No, it's too big. it just doesn't feel right, hence why your last step needs to be just a square root a squared to get to a. Just to prove that we can just put this into a calculator straight away. So 8 squared plus 10 squared, subtract 2 times 8 times 10 times cos 50, put the whole thing in, we get 61.15. We can take it even further, we can put square root straight away, because we know we're going to do that at the end anyway, of 8 squared add 10 squared, subtract 2 times 8 times 10 times cos of 50, close the bracket, and it gets us to exactly the same answer. The second version of a basic cosine rule question is where instead of finding the side, you're going to find a missing angle. Final step this time, very similar to when we're doing right angle trigonometry, where we're going to have to get rid of the cos at the end. Now you can just use the original formula, this version, and then rearrange it at the end. However, if you use the already rearranged version, it makes your life a little bit easier. So cos of a equals b squared plus c squared minus a squared all over 2bc. The way that we've got to that, so our original formula was that. So I'm going to add on 2bc cos a, so a squared add 2bc cos a equals b squared plus c squared. I'm going to take a squared off, so 2bc cos a equals b squared add c squared, take a squared, and then finally this is 2bc multiplied by cos a, so I'm going to divide by 2bc, so cos a equals b squared plus c squared, subtract a squared, divided by 2bc. So that's the other version of the formula. So again, this time I'm given all three sides. I'm not given any angle, so I've definitely got no pair, so I can't use sine rule, but I have got all three sides. I need to really label up this time, because if you get the wrong A, B, C this time, it will really well, it will give you a different angle within your triangle. So the angle I'm looking for is A, so therefore that must be A. Now again, it doesn't actually matter which one's B and C, so I'm just going to label up, that would be C, that would be B. So I'm going to put some numbers in. So B squared, so I've got 8 squared, C squared, A squared, divided by 2 times 8 times 15, and that's going to be equal to cos of A. So again, I'm going to just work out these bits first. So 8 squared is 64, 15 squared is 225, 10 squared is 100, then 8 15s is going to be 120 times 2 is 240. As I say, you don't need to do that, you can just put it all into a calculator. So that's 125, 125, 129, 189, so it's 189 over 240, and that's going to be equal to cos of A. Just as I said, exactly the same as right angle triangle trigonometry. To get rid of the cos at the end, we need to use the inverse, cos to the minus 1. So I'm going to do cos to the minus 1 of 189 over 240 on my calculator. So to get the cos to the minus 1, it's shift and then cos, 189 over 240, and that gives me 38.05 degrees. So just to prove, you can just put all this straight away. Fraction button, 8 squared, add 15 squared, subtract 10 squared, 2 times 8 times 15, so say 63 over 80 is just a simplified version of that, and then we go shift cos of the answer, close my brackets up as always. Again, we get exactly the same answer. Again, if you want to do it as one fell swoop, because you know at the end you are going to be using cos to the minus 1. So cos to the minus 1 of everything I've just typed in. So 8 squared, 15 squared, subtract 10 squared, close the brackets up. There we go, 38.0475, etc. Exactly the same answer. Right, there's 2 more questions to have a look at. If you want to have a go at them yourself, just pause the video now and then I'll talk through them. Okay, so this one, I'm looking for a side. So therefore I'm going to use my first version, a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cos a. So there's my a because of the angle that I'm going to use. Therefore these are my b and my c. It's going to be my a there. So I put my numbers in. So b is going to be 8 squared plus 5 squared minus 2 times 8 times 5 times the cos of 30. Put all that into my calculator. So 8 squared plus 5 squared minus 2 times 8 times 5 times the cos of 30. Gives me 19.717. Gives it you in that third format. That's fine, just press your S to D button. So I know that a squared is equal to that 19.7179677. Remember, don't round your answer at this point. So I know that a squared is equal to that, so therefore the square root of that is going to be what my a is. So a is the square root of that above answer. So that gives me 4.44 centimeters. Last one, similar to the one above. This time, 3 sides. I'm looking for the angle, so I've got to make sure I label up properly first. So there's my angle A, side A, B and B, C and C. So I'm going to use this version of cosine rule this time. So cos A equals b squared plus c squared minus a squared divided by 2bc. Okay, so put some numbers in. So b squared, 5 squared plus 4 squared minus 6 squared, all divided by 2 times 4 times 5. So I'm going to put all that into my calculator. Use the fraction button. So 5 squared and 4 squared, subtract 6 squared, divided by 2 times 4 times 5. So that gives me 1/8 or 0.125. So that's cos A. So to get back to my angle, I've got to get rid of cos. So it's cos the minus 1 of that 1/8 or 0.125. So shift cos of the answer we've already got. So I've got 82.82 degrees. Right, hopefully that was helpful. As I said, there are a lot more difficult cosine rule questions that we all have to look at and work out, but that's your basic way of using cosine rule to find an angle, to find a missing side. Hopefully it was helpful.